And we are live, not from the Flamingo room today, but Willie, what room are we live from?
Oh, this is the fabulous Courtyard Marriott in downtown Corvallis, right on the river. It's actually kind of beautiful.
Now,
Uh,
I'm assuming they got comfy beds because I've been hammering you on Twitter all day. Dead silence in the group chat, which means you're dead to the world. So I'm like, it must be a Sleeping Beauty night.
I woke up. It's 5 o'clock right now in fabulous Corvallis, and I just woke up. I mean, an hour ago I was dead asleep. But
I
so I
don't
don't even
know
know
how
what you
you
said.
do.
I don't even really know what you said on Twitter. I mean, I assume that people were like, "Where's the show? Where's the show?" and that you were talking junk in that group text, and I assume all that. I'll review it in a little while, and then I'll go tell you to f yourself. But
Well, I had said too
uh,
that it's funny because we were on FaceTime with Felters yesterday, and it cracks me up every time when he hammers you because it's 10 a.m. You're making a pound of pasta and you're getting ready to pass out after being up all night. I've never seen anything like it. You're nocturnal. I've never seen anything like it.
it's this time of year is brutal. It's brutal. I have a problem falling asleep. First of all, I can't sleep normally, but this time of year, I'm doing a review of every state tournament. I'm doing all the college stuff too, Big Ten seeds and this and that, and then but I'm like seeding NHSCA's and seeding Reno dude, it's and updating big boards. I mean, look at the state tournament hub. Every state in the country,
I've been
and
tweeting
most
it
of them.
out.
I mean, have like three freaking divisions. Um, so this time of year, February to April, I don't sleep. I mean, I sleep, but in spurts.
You stay up for 2 days and then you sleep a day.
Yes, yes.
So it's very random. There's no rhyme or reason. Somebody said there's a lot of comments. You can read through them all on Twitter. One was that we need to get you on a sleep schedule. One was that
To me,
I mean, yeah.
it's the healthy. It would be the healthy thing. Uh, I'm not sure if you saw my physique. I'm not concerned about my health, right? Really, too much. I don't spend a lot of time doing that. Uh, Finally got Big Ten seeds though, and like, dude, what are they? I don't understand what they're doing. I mean, I understand probably. I don't know for a fact, but I understand it's probably the coaches because they have all the data. They sent every year. It's the same. It's the same thing. You get them Monday, right? Um, they have the data. They sent the forms. I mean, there's a form they send and they number them and they send them back. And the Big Ten office calculates them and says, "Here's the results of this vote." And it's been the same process. And the coaches had it all. They had it all at the same time that they do every year. But this year they're not putting them out till later. I have no doubt that this is the coaches' decision and not the Big Ten themselves. Because why? Why would
Yeah,
they
it was
want to be the
weird.
last ones? And we get them Wednesday, and you can put in a substitute until Thursday morning, which means they're only really valid for like, I don't know, 18 to 24 hours. So either put them out Monday when they can really build hype and gain ground, or put them out tomorrow after their final.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, last year they did the seed selection show on a Monday night. I thought we were getting again this year. And then
Yeah.
Shane Sparks tweeted out, like, well, they're not going to be out until Wednesday. So I have no clue. It was definitely weird. The rest of them came out, and I guess from a content standpoint, like, the other conferences are not, Big 12 is pretty competitive, but from like a top to bottom standpoint, there's just nothing like the Big 10 tournament. Nothing. Big 12 very competitive. Some of these other tournaments, you're going to have great matches. I mean,
You
even
know,
Pac
it's
12, it's
funny.
like yeah.
It's funny, and not to. I mean, I'm just keeping it real here. I don't. I I am for parity. I would like the other conferences to be um, very competitive as possible. But I started writing an article. It's still in draft on Matt Scouts, but I started writing an article, best conference weights outside of the Big Ten.
Yep.
There wasn't enough meat on the bone. Now I will say that while the Big Ten offers the most star power, and it also in terms of a qualification process, it's probably less dramatic than some of the other. I mean, even EIWAs, they get one spot at 133, right? That's drama. Who's gonna win? I mean, Big Ten, they take like 9 at 133. So it's like, I think actually 7 this year, but you get my point. It's like, all right, we're not crying too much for somebody that takes 8th.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to get a wild card anyway.
It's a good point. Like, the matches themselves are a lot better at Big Tens, but like you said, from a qualification standpoint, you're not going to see nearly the storylines coming out for the most part. Like, oh my gosh, Tyler Wells is, whatever. Like, this, yeah.
Right. Yeah. There are, before we get to conferences and seeds, by the way, on one hand, I pretty much nailed the Big Ten seeds, and I was very confident. I was very confident that they would be pretty spot on, and they were pretty spot on. But that pretty much goes to show, and we'll get into that in a bit, but it goes to show that the coaches voted accurately for the most part, right? I mean, if I'm predicting the seeds based on who earned it and what they should be, and then they come out that way, what it's really saying is the coaches voted accurately, right? Because I'm what's the term? Atheistic?
Agnostic.
Agnostic. I'm agnostic on it. I don't care. I don't care about favorites. So yeah, that's what that means. But there are a couple other things before we get into the conference seeds, and one is that Saitiev died / was murdered. And
that I've been following the sport for probably about 15 years now, something like that. I've never seen wrestling so like hurt by a death like this one. A lot of like the wrestlers, Yanni, Rocky Elam, like so many guys really grew up looking up to this guy. It's crazy the number of tribute posts and stuff. Like it was an impactful career that guy had.
Bro, I was sad. He's Michael Jordan. To me, he's the best wrestler that ever walked the planet. And not only now, Medved had more medals, I guess, and I don't know, like Karelin. I don't know. I don't know historically.
For the casual fan listening, the guy won 3 Olympic golds in 96, 04, and 08, and then he won 7 world golds from 95 to 2005, and he won 6 European Championships gold. The 3 of those tournaments he never entered and did not win.
Yeah, and
I believe I could be wrong on that.
Beyond that, like beyond all the statistics and the medals and the historic like medal halls, and he was the aesthetics of what he did. He was like a freaking artist. He was Michael Jordan. Like you watch him, and it was poetry, and it was. I ain't never seen that before. And, it wasn't this meat and potatoes type stuff. And there's certain guys like that. I think John Smith was aesthetically all time. I think Jordan Burroughs, what he did, was aesthetically all time. Dave Schultz was, Dave Schultz didn't have 100 medals, but he had a really great run and was aesthetically awesome. And Saitiev on top of them all. I mean, he was just a pleasure to watch.
He did have a couple of losses. Now that I'm going through it, including to
Yeah,
Slay.
he actually had a bunch of losses.
Yeah.
He actually had a bunch of losses. He competed a lot, you know. But when I say a bunch, I don't know, like 7. You know?
So because I'm looking through it now. So he lost in the 2006 World Championships, and he lost to Brandon Slay in the 2000 Olympics 3-4. Mm-hmm. Those are his only 2 losses in Wikipedia. We should have had like Yanni on, because I'm sure Yanni will know every match. He's probably seen them all 100 times.
Yep. Yanni, a big fan. Meyer Shapiro, big fan. I mean, everybody's a big fan, you know. But he had some other losses. He lost to Murtaliev at the end of his career. He lost at Russian Nationals, I think, twice overall. But anyway, it's a shame. I mean, it's really like a living legend. And he was only 50?
49.
So I don't know exactly what happened. Who knows? You know, he was what they call a Duma, which I think like kind of like is the version of like governor of a province over there for a period of time. And but he resigned for that, retired from that, 5-10 years ago. I don't know if seems like there might have been some nefarious things going on in a place where nefarious things seem to go on often, but
yeah, the report, that was my like half chuckle when you said like / murdered, because the story came out that he fell out of his window cleaning or something like that. It was a very suspicious story.
Yeah. 3rd story too. Like, do you die dropping 30 feet? I mean, maybe.
I would. If I fell out of 3rd story window, I'd be, yeah.
It's 30 feet.
When was the last time you looked down from 3 stories up?
You never jumped off a 2nd story thing? You never.
2nd story and 3rd are very different.
True, that is true. You never jumped out of a tree, though? I don't know. People fall out of planes and live. Anyway, let's move on from this topic. I could be an idiot. Anyway,
the show that everybody's waiting for.
And we're talking
about, can you survive
a
jump?
The physics of 3rd stories. Crookham is out. A lot of people had fun with that. Who cares who's right or wrong? The bottom line is the number 1 guy in the country is out. And really the backstory of it was he got hurt in practice late December, and there was a very small chance of him coming back. He kind of hoped he would be able to. The team kind of hoped he'd be able to. His father was telling everybody, "Look, it ain't happening. He ain't gonna be ready, right?" And so, while the team kind of stuff was, hold on, it's not settled yet. It was kind of settled, right? But the bottom line is, number 1 guy's out. Drake moves up and kind of becomes the favorite now. That being said, there's still some really tough kids in there. Obviously, Zeth Romney, Tyler Knox, Nasir Bailey. But it changes the landscape a little bit.
It does.
Dynamite drop in. What? Where's my crystal ball? So who would be your pick without? Okay, first of all, with Crookham in, were you taking Crookham?
No, we talked about this on a show or 2 ago. I said that I'm taking Drake. I think at this point in the game, I'm not picking a guy who's wrestled 5 matches and coming back. It sounds like he broke his elbow. You're not coming back in 2 months, and it sounds like he got cleared and he was like going live was going to be an issue. He wasn't able to do it till the postseason. It's like, and that was my suspicion, is that if he came back, he's not going to be the Ryan Crookham that only lost to Vito last year in the postseason. Like,
yeah, I mean, he got cleared to drill like a week or two ago.
right.
To drill.
So that's where it's like, honestly, it puts even more eyes. We'll talk about it in a few minutes when we talk Big Tens. I mean, if Drake Ayala, the Big Ten tournament is a pretty good indicator of what could happen in NCAAs. You have, aside from, if you're talking about, you got Bailey and Romney and Ethan Oakley are, three guys that are definitely, I think, an All-American. You have the same thing in your crystal ball. And it's like, but the top three guys, Big 12
for me,
too, Frost, yeah.
For me, it's if Drake can go unscathed, right? Drake can clearly beat anybody in any match. Anybody at 133 in this field, Drake can beat. The key is, can you go unscathed? And the Big Ten offers a pretty good indicator of it if you can do that. And because Lucas Bird is now number 2 in the country, Braden Davis is a tough out. Dylan Shawver is a tough out. Now these, Dylan Shawver, Braden Davis, I don't think are the NCAA title contenders that Drake is, but on a match-by-match basis, they present a serious threat, right?
And when you have the fact that, like, and again, we'll talk Big Tens in a minute, but like at Big Tens, you're going to have a very likely scenario where a quarterfinal is last year's 125 and 133 Big Ten champs in Davis and Shawver. Winner gets Drake in the semis.
Wow. That is crazy.
So the yes, these guys, Evan Frost and Bailey and Romney, like these guys are very good. Drake, to me, it's just, I think he's at a different level right now.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Crookham yesterday. I did extend the invite to him to come on the show if he wants to talk about the injury and talk about, a lot of people said that, well, Pat, you're wrong because if he was out, he would have said it. No, I think he was 90% out, but it's like what these wrestlers don't want to do, and trust me, nobody preaches and roots for transparency more than I do, but I get it in the sense of you don't necessarily want to be like, guys, I'm out, and throw away a chance at a insane recovery and then be able to come back and be like, just kidding, I'm back. So, he kept it under wraps with the small hope of I might be able to make it back, and, wasn't able to make it.
Yeah, he's had some injuries that, and kind of the question is like, so he's saving this year. He'll get a medical, but is he going to be injury free and still at this level like 2028? But we'll see.
I will say though, Willie, I mean, only out of the top 18, you only have 3 graduating. You only have McGonigal, Oreen, and Lucas Bird that are graduating. So it's a completely different scenario than like younger Bastida coming back next year, where 8 of the top 10 are gone. Here it's like,
plus you're going to have guys like Marcus Blaze probably.
Yeah, you're going to have
Ben Davino and.
Yeah, so I definitely don't think it's, I think sometimes right now we're seeing medical red shirts that guys are leaning there a little quicker if the outlook.
If the turnover is going to be high.
Yeah, like they're a little quicker to take it. I don't think this is it at all. I think that kid is a competitor. He's a warrior, and he wanted to go. Unfortunately, if you break your elbow in December, you're not gonna, you're not making it back.
No. Yeah. What else? Taye Ghadial in the portal. That that kind of he was in the portal for days and nobody mentioned it. Apparently, I didn't know it. I'll be honest, but like I asked somebody. I said, when did he go in the portal? And they said a couple days ago. And I just had so much work to do. I should have been on top of it. I should have been on top of the portal opens on this date. Here's the candidates. I just have so much other stuff going on. Like
Well, normally you don't really see a lot of portal activity right now heading into the postseason. It's usually you start seeing it maybe after conference championships if somebody has a terrible tournament, and then for sure after NCAAs. But you don't really see it that much right now where you're watching it, that regularly. And he went in as do not contact. So
yeah, he went in as do not contact. Of course, when somebody of that magnitude, a returning All-American, and a guy that projects with the turnover that's going to happen at heavyweight with Kirkfleet going and Gable going and a ton of the top guys going, Heinzelman, Schultz, right? Ghadial projects as a top 5 guy, maybe top 3. And so as soon as people become aware that he's going in the portal, everybody says, who needs a heavyweight? What top flight programs need a heavyweight? And the short list of teams it's a very small list of top flight programs that need a heavyweight that also offer a lot of NIL, respectively or relatively. And it goes like Michigan, Iowa, depending on Keeter, Oklahoma State for sure, Penn State probably, right? Now there are.
I'm out on Penn State getting him. I don't think.
Well, I'm talking about we can have our takes, but the conversation included Penn State because Kirkfleet graduates, and is there a surefire thing at Penn State at heavyweight? And the answer to that really is no. There's not a surefire. There's not a we got this guy and he's going to be great. Like, no, you don't know that.
I agree, but my thought is I don't think so Campbell coach came out and said he quote tweeted when I put out the news that he's in the portal, and I'm gonna pull up his tweet so I don't misspeak. I love that he commented on it. He said, Scott Sentes, my big guy Taye is getting some huge financial and life opportunities. Proud coach here. I'll either be in his corner when he wins NCAA title or screaming in the stands with his family. Please show my guy Taye nothing but love. We are all proud of him in the creek. This leads me to believe he's even saying he got a huge financial offer. Now, if Taye wanted to transfer out and he wanted to go to Penn State, I believe it. People go to Penn State, they win titles. I don't see Penn State going after a heavyweight for 1 year when you have Marisola there. I think you might see like a Max Dean type situation where it's like, coach, can I come wrestle? I don't think it's as likely where you have like a Michigan or Oklahoma State who has more so paid a very hefty amount for a year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and the difference in scenarios are that would Ghadial be a safety net if Marisola ends up being number 12, right? If Marisola is a number 12 next year, then Ghadial offers an upgrade. If Taye is 3 and Marisola turns out to be a 5, then what's the point, right?
And I don't think Penn State's going to pay. We've talked about on previous shows where some teams are very aware of guys on the team currently and what NIL deals they have. And I don't think that Penn State is going to compete with a Michigan, for example, for how much they're willing to pay for somebody to come in, especially if they don't have a glaring hole. There's a difference, like you're saying, where, hey, could Taye be a great safety net for Penn State? Sure. At the same time, does somebody like Michigan, Oklahoma State have a glaring hole at heavyweight?
Now,
absolutely.
So it's a little different at Oklahoma State. And like, let's not lose fact. Let's make sure we're clear on this. Penn State doesn't need 8 to 10 points at heavyweight to be in the title conversation. All right. Other teams do. So that's a clear differentiator as well. Mm-hmm. What does now for Iowa, who has been active in the portal, he makes sense if and only if Ben would not wrestle or play football, which I don't think is the case. I don't know that, but probably not.
By the way, also to defend Oklahoma State, I also don't think.
Well, let's go. Let's go in order.
Okay.
We'll do Oklahoma State, but Iowa agree. If Ben's wrestling next year, there's no point in getting Taye.
Correct. Right?
I mean,
yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Okay, Michigan
for me is the big favorite, I would say.
Michigan makes a lot of sense. They lose Heinzelman, and they really don't have anybody else on their roster. Ira Jenkins 1-5. They don't have anybody that's 500. That's a thing. Now, what does Michigan have coming in? They have Sahakian coming in, but he's been hurt all year, and he's going to be a true freshman. So it would be a great situation to get Taye, have Sahakian redshirt, and there you go. Now, which would be interesting because that would be the third year in a row. That would be the third year in a row that Michigan got a 1-year rental at heavyweight. They went Davison, Heinzelman, and now potentially Taye, which who is from the state of Michigan. Right? So that makes a lot of sense. To me, Michigan's right at the top of the list for making sense.
Yeah, and, obviously we don't know how this year's going to play out as far as the offseason, but looking early, Michigan doesn't have a heavy portal team heading into next year. You've got Cardenas graduating, and you've got Chase graduating.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that,
right. So the point is, there's not a whole lot of portal money.
You have money to spend.
There's portal money coming off the books, right?
Yeah. So I think Michigan makes the most sense.
I did too, by far.
I think Michigan makes the most sense. I think anytime you have a top recruit, I think Penn State is always going to be an option if it looks like there could be a spot. Not from an NIL standpoint, from a standpoint of what they've done the last 10 years. And wrestlers have said that.
Yeah. And then North Carolina is in on it too, by the way.
Yep, they're a player.
I don't know how close they are, right? But then Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is the next logical one when people talk about potential landing spots. Iowa State would have been one if Younger wrestled. But they also have Herrera, who's just a freshman. But Oklahoma State, now let's talk about Oklahoma State's scenario. They lose Wyatt.
And they have Connor Doucette.
They do have Doucette, who he doesn't score a whole lot. He's not very exciting, but he is solid. And like I don't know, top 10-ish guy for sure. Top 10-ish guy for sure with what's graduating.
Yeah.
And so now he likely is not gonna score at NCAAs as much as Taye, but I don't think it's desperation mode. Upgrade, yes. Desperation mode, no. And there's also sort of questions about what Cody Merrill does. I think he's fine at 97 and makes sense at 97. But yeah,
Yeah, it's
I think
interesting.
Oklahoma State is and probably is a player in this, but I don't think they need to be desperation.
Yeah, I don't think David Taylor is going to be too aggressive in the portal. I think David has shown that he really wants to build out the RTC. He brought in Zahid Valencia. They just announced last week Joey McKenna's heading over there. They got Roman Bravo Young not too long ago. And I've heard those are some decent numbers for those guys to go and train there. And
Yeah.
obviously recruiting is going to be a big one. David's already doing an awesome job landing some of these recruits. And do I think they end up with somebody in the portal? Definitely. Do I think David's going to, number one, pursue them aggressively and make great financial offers? No, I don't. I think, and look at Connor Doucette, he's got a great room of guys to train with right now. From David Taylor to Wyatt Hendrickson to Zahid Valencia. Like, he's got a room. Cody Merrill, like, he's got a room of guys he can train with and get better. And
Right? I mean, with what's graduating and having that room, having the bodies to roll with, he could jump. He could jump a tier. I mean, he's not very prolific. He doesn't score a whole lot of points, but just a gradual improvement, and he could go from number 12 to number 6, right? Which is good.
yeah. So if I had to rank the order of places that he would go, I would say Michigan 1. I would honestly probably put UNC 2. I think the fact that they're a player in this says something. You know, you typically hear some of these bigger schools making bigger offers, but I would say Michigan 1 for the reasons we stated, UNC 2, Oklahoma State 3, Penn State 4.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And it's going to be interesting to see how David and Oklahoma State operate. Now, the narrative has been, because there's mixed reviews, and like people that don't like Oklahoma State, people that don't like David Taylor, particularly fan bases of other power programs, they are quick to say David's buying guys. They're buying guys. They're buying guys. Right. But a lot of their recruits, I mean, a lot of their portal guys those deals were orchestrated before David got a phone call, right? Hamidi was early. Hendrickson was early. Fish was early. I forget about Amin.
Well, Hendrickson was on the bubble because he came on the podcast and we're talking about his final 3 or 4 when David just got announced. So Oklahoma State was a leading candidate, but I think David Taylor pushed him over the edge.
Yeah, yeah. But so what I'm saying is it'll be interesting. I mean, we're going to learn something this offseason, I think, about will David be will he be selective in the portal? Will he be all in on the portal? You know, we'll see.
I also think too there's a line that gets blurred. People assume if somebody goes somewhere, oh, this coach went and got him. I'll say this right now because I think the same thing goes true for Penn State. If Oklahoma State gets a guy in the portal, I don't just think it's because Oklahoma State reached out to them and said, get in the portal, we want to make you an offer, come compete here. I think naturally wrestlers are exploring options in this NIL era of how much am I worth, and they're opening options more than they were 10 years ago. And I think when you have things like the success Penn State has had, the excitement Oklahoma State has, you know, you have these different things going. I absolutely think someone's going to transfer to Oklahoma State, and it's not just because Oklahoma State wanted to pay this guy.
Well, let me defend Iowa here a little bit. You know, I'm very I often voice my displeasure I don't like when teams. Listen, it's legal. It's legal. The portal's legal. Paying kids is legal, and I don't get upset with that. What I get upset with is cold calling and quote unquote poaching from other teams. I don't like it. Okay. And I was very open about that with like Jacory and Stephen Buchanan. But let's defend like what you're saying. The scenario you're saying is big time programs, wrestling in a great room in front of a big crowd. Let's defend Iowa with like Franek and Caliendo, right? North Dakota State, Roger Kish leaves. Iowa picks up Franek and Caliendo. It's kind of what you're saying. Like kids are looking, that wasn't a poaching situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Iowa's one of those. I think Iowa's one of those programs that you're going to see a little bit of both. I think Iowa has it's no secret that Iowa wants to win, and their donors want to win, and they want to attract top guys both from a recruiting and NIL standpoint. But I also think naturally Iowa's going to be a competitor for somebody who says, I want to go to a bigger program, or I want to go test my value, or whatever the case may be.
Right. So there's a couple high school things, but we wanted to mention, but we're going a little slow here, but California is bonkers. I just want to say that real quick. The number of programs, and I don't know if this is a good thing, and maybe this is I'm going to run a series in the off season called the State of the States, where how healthy is a state, where are they at with participation and productivity and participation and sheer quality and quantity. Mm-hmm. But man, it's really interesting that some of these states are dominated by just a handful of teams, almost like college. And when you have California has the most high school wrestlers by any state by far, and 5 teams totally dominated the state tournament. I mean, St. John Bosco set a record. They placed 13 of 14 in a single class state. In a single class state with the most high school participants, they placed 13 out of 14. And the one they didn't was heavyweight, where they had Nick Sahakian out with injury. Nick Sahakian, who came into the season as the number 1 guy in the country. You had 5 teams account for 57 of the 112 placers. They accounted for 19 of the 28 state finalists. And they put a ton of talent in Division I. I mean, these are really good, high-level wrestlers. However, they're concentrated in just a handful of schools. And there's a big conversation to be had on how healthy that is.
Yeah, Bashada tweeted out too about Jersey, kind of a similar situation.
Jersey, similar situation, right? So I just wanted to mention it because it's really interesting. Also in your home state, how about there was a placer in New York State, and this started. I didn't mean to start this weight class debate. This was not what my intention. But there was a kid, New York State has 101 pounds, and there was a kid that's in 7th grade that placed 5th at 101 that wrestled the 11U division in Super 32. He won it. How the hell are you 11 or 12? I mean, 12 is one thing, I guess. Anyway, that's super young. That's insane. And it started a conversation on Twitter. Do away with 101. It's stupid. That means 101 is stupid. No, that's not what it means, you turd. Anyway, we can get into that later, but yeah.
I'm trying to think also, now how. So I don't think the age is. Well, I guess is 11U including 11, or do you got to be 10?
No, it's 11. but
Because
it's at the time of the rules there at the time of the tournament. So he could be 11, he could be 12 now. He could be 12 the day after. But still, it's bonkers to me.
but I'm thinking about it. I was 13 when I entered high school. So I was probably 12 in 8th grade, 11 in 7th. Why is that so crazy?
Because it's so crazy because name another person that's ever done that.
No, I'm saying the 7th grade to 11U. I think the age thing wise makes sense that you're around 11 years old in 7th grade. I was.
Around, yes. Around, yes. I don't know. And I mean, let's make no mistake. I mean, in wrestling, kids get held back. Like a lot of the best kids are held back. The whole state of Ohio is held back. Everybody's held back. This kid's obviously not held back. And most of the time, you see these states that allow 8th graders to wrestle. And there's a ton of them, Idaho, Minnesota, Florida, preps, national preps. The kid that won 106 at national preps this year, Mills from Georgia, won Fargo at 88 pounds or 94 pounds. He did. Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
I mean,
Ryan Mills.
New York has great 7th graders. PJ Duke. Shout out PJ Duke. Won his 4th state title this year. Won his first
Steve-O.
7th grade.
Zach Ryder.
Yep.
Orion Mills, 8th grade, Stone Mountain, Georgia, won national preps. He won Fargo this year at 88 pounds. But when you see these guys that place in states that allow 7th, 8th graders, it's almost never 7th graders, but 8th graders, they wrestled Super 32 at middle school division, not 11U. I mean, I've never seen it before.
Yanni didn't win states until 8th grade, right?
I think so.
I think 8th. I think he was going for a 5-time champ when he broke his elbow. Well.
Nickerson won 5.
Yep. Troy was around my time. I almost went to the same bracket as him. Fun fact.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What Dake only won 4, right?
Yeah.
What a loser. All right, man. Let's get into the meat. The meat. Preseeds are out. Conference tournament weekend is here.
Yeah, you're a real OG if you're watching this show and you're 45 minutes in and we've barely talked about conference. You're an OG. Make sure you're subscribed to this because you are for us.
and if you're frustrated with we're just getting into this 45 minutes in,
timestamps. Timestamps. Yeah.
So conference tourney kicks off tomorrow. It's probably today if you're watching this. Thursday. It's on Flow. It's one mat because there's only 4 teams.
It starts with the semifinals.
And there's some good weights. 149 is really good with Ethan Styles and who's it? Ethan Styles, Jordan Williams, and there's another good one. Who am I missing?
Well, 197 is the big one.
Yeah, 49 has 3 of the top 10. 97 has 3 of the top 10. AJ Ferrari did get the 1 seed because he didn't wrestle a whole heck of a lot this season. I mean, he's number 1 in reality.
Yeah, I saw some questions about that.
Yeah, why is he the 1 and not the 2 or 3? That if he got seeded 2 or 3, I would have understood it. But he did in fact get the 1, and so it's going to be Munoz and Little first match. 2 returning All-Americans, first match. Winner likely gets AJ Ferrari. So, you know, not that I was rooting for AJ to get to 2 or to 3, but I would have liked to see 2 competitive matches out of AJ instead of 1, but probably just going to get 1.
And I'll tell you what, if he loses that one, that's probably, I would assume, going to impact his seed more than if he wins. What do you think? For
What do you
NCAAs.
mean?
So if he loses his only top 10 matchup of the year, I feel like that's going to weigh pretty heavy for NCAAs.
Oh yeah, he'll drop like a rock.
Correct, but if he wins, only getting 1 top 10, I'm not sure that helps him that much.
No, he'll be 3, 4, something 5, something like that.
Yeah,
He'll stay where he's at. I guess he could rise to 2 theoretically. But I mean, he's what like 4 now.
Either way, I don't know that it matters too much if you're, well, no, I don't think it matters that much because either way, I mean, those semis and even the quarters, I mean,
it could hurt him worse than it could help him because he's
correct.
Because the guys are already behind him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's tomorrow, 3:30, 1 match. So by the time the 97-pound matches happen, I don't think it's going to be till like 5:30-ish probably. And then finals are at 9 Eastern, I want to say.
Yeah. So there's some interesting matchups. Even though there's only 4 schools, 125 Maximo Renteria has been really good, but he lost to Coda Holman earlier this year, so he's a 2 seed. 133, you have Nasir Bailey and Zeth Romney. Really good matchup. Again, 49, Styles, Lamer, Jordan Williams, currently ranked 5, 7, and 11, and then 97 is really good. So that is tomorrow, and then my friends,
Willie. I do like that it's Thursday. I feel like that would have so easily got lost in the shuffle this weekend. The fact that it's tomorrow and we get wrestling, like we have 4 straight days of conference championship, and even though Thursday and Friday aren't going to be nearly as great as Saturday, Sunday, we're going to watch it. It's wrestling. It's postseason wrestling.
It is such a blessing. If wrestling often fails to have vision and fails to look forward and say what would be best for us visibility wise, and to have the whole country looking to see who qualifies and watching the premier matchups for your conference on an island, all eyes are on it. It's a marketing win. It's a marketing win for the conference, and it's also a win for the fans who can focus on it. Because listen, if it was on Sunday, it would get lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Thursday. Friday is I can't do that because of the camera. Friday is EIWAs. 10 o'clock Eastern on Flow Mac. Friday at noon, ESPN Plus. SoCon Friday at noon, ESPN Plus. Saturday, Big 12 on ESPN Plus. At 11 at the same time, Big 10 starts 11 a.m. BTN.
Oof.
And I assume is it BTN only, or is there?
No,
I'm sure you can watch.
Yeah,
BTN Plus.
Yeah, I'll tweet out the schedule. It's both BTN and BTN Plus. I think BTN will have like a main feed, and BTN Plus will have individual match streams, quad box, all of that.
Yeah. ACC is now with 7 teams. It used to be small. Now it's decent size. ACC Sunday at 10 a.m. on the ACC network. Ivy League 10 a.m. on ESPN Plus, and also Sunday, the rubber hits the road at Big 12 and Big 10s. So a full weekend. I'm really pumped to catch the Pac-12 and then be able to go back to home base, settle down in a war room, and I'll have in real time who qualified, who didn't, and so you get a quick.
We should
quick
also
look.
maybe, unless you sleep, we should try to bang out a show sometime like mid-weekend.
I ain't sleeping that weekend. There will
We'll
be no
both
sleeping.
we'll both be in the war room, so it's a prime time
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, absolutely. We should do a mid weekend update. Um, and then probably shoot a show Sunday night, Monday morning.
Yeah.
No rest for the weary. There's no sleeping this weekend. All right, the big one. Maybe we do this.
Clovis
last.
Buchanan, the big one.
Let's save Big Ten for last. Let's talk a little bit about Big 12. Any surprises there with the seeds? At 125, Figs the 1, Poulin, Strickenberger. A lot of people surprised. Spratley's the 4. So Spratley's going to have to go 4-5 with Tanner Jordan. Tanner Jordan quiet this year. Not a whole heck of a lot of big moments for him, but he's really dangerous. Former AA, correct? I'm pretty sure he AA'd before. If not, it was like blood round.
I'm drawing a blank.
Tanner Jordan was 8th last year. And Tanner Jordan was 8th last year, and Troy Spratley. Nobody talks about Tanner Jordan. Everybody talks about Troy Spratley, and yet Jordan's the All-American and Spratley is not. So that's a 4-5 matchup. In the next match, they're getting number 1 guy, returning national champ Richie Figs, Strickenberger and Poulin the 2-3. And how did that happen? Well, Strickenberger pinned Spratley. That's how that happened. Strickenberger's only loss in conference was to Figs. He beat everybody else, so he earned the 3. One thing about these bigger conferences, and this kind of highlights it, and I'm not. This is sort of a bad example, but it is an example, and we're on the conversation right now. But these bigger conferences and their unbalanced schedules, like Poulin gets the 2, and he deserves it, but he also didn't hit anybody this year. You know what I mean? Like Andrew Alirez gets the 1, but he didn't hit anybody there this year. And there's other conferences. There's like in the Big Ten, Ethan Miller got the 1 at 157, and the only guy he faced was Blaze. Outside of the default to Kasich. So the seeds get a little weird in that, like, yeah, they're sort of earned, but you also didn't have the schedule that some of the other teams in the conference had. Yeah. 130. Here, the curveball too is 8 is Kyson Terrakina, and he's the 8, and so he gets Figs, and I don't think I'm not picking him to knock off Figs, but Terrakina missed a large part of the season, which is why he's the 8. And I don't think he beats Figs, but I think he disrupts the bracket and he in the consolations. And it's really a curveball there because he doesn't have a allocation. So he's going to watch. Terrakina is probably, unless he's hurt still, he's going to steal a bid and he's going to break up some stuff there. 133, Evan Frost, clear cut number 1. Dom Serrano the 2, Julian Farber the 3, Reese Whitcraft, Kyle Berwick. I'm surprised Farber's the 4. I mean the 3 ahead of Whitcraft. That's interesting. Yeah, that's 33. Not a whole heck of a lot there. Again, Derek Cardinal at the 7 needs. There's some needs here at this one as far as guys that are interesting that need a bid. 141 is Alirez. Happel got the 2. Surprising to me.
Did
I mean, I
you?
can understand the logic, but he has losses. He lost to Moshe Schwartz, who's the 5. Um, and for the second weight already, we're 3 weights in. Oklahoma State, not a great draw. Jameson gets the 4 on the same side as Alirez. That's not great. That's not great. So it's Alirez, Happel the 2, Frost the 3. And you look at rankings, Frost is well behind Jameson. So it'll be Jameson,
It
Schwartz.
is exactly how you predicted it, though.
That's how I predicted it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love, too, by the way, that you slept all day. You woke up. The first thing you did was pat yourself on the back and say, I got these seeds pretty good.
Well, here's the thing. I know that I have a tendency to say I'm the brain and I yada pat myself on the back. But with things that big, like Big Ten, if you get it wrong, the people let you know.
Yeah.
So, anyway, 141, interesting. Alirez, Happel, Frost, Jameson. Again, Oklahoma State with a tough draw. 149, Colin Budo, Panero Johnson, Willie McDougald, Gabe Willishell. Not a whole heck of a lot
Well, so
going on there. That's not a real exciting weight.
no, but Vasquez being out, that was a surprise when people saw that. What was the other one? Wasn't there another Arizona State?
No, it's Vasquez and at this weight, Carter Young.
That's right.
So Big 12, who originally had they originally had 6 bids. Now they have 4. There's only 4 going, and I mean it's right in my opinion, but you have Real Budo, Panero Johnson, Willie McDougald, Gabe Willishell are the top 4 seeds. They only get 4. Now, Teague Travis is not included in the seeds. He could throw a monkey wrench in this and have to make, Willishell or McDougald need an at-large. Also, Paul Kelly at number 6, he's not a household name, but I like him going forward. Really good kid out of Poway, true freshman. 157, wonky weight. Cody Chittum is 1, Caleb Fisher 2, Ryder Downing the 3, Kobe Seabrecht's the 4, and does not have an AQ. Jared Hill at the 5 does. Vinny Zerbin at the 6 does. So even though Seabrecht's seated ahead of those guys, he needs to steal. And when I say wonky, I mean Chittum is the 1 seed, but lost to who did he lose to? He lost to Jay Conway, who's a 7.
Yeah, you thought Downey was going to get the 1 seed here.
Is that who I picked?
Yeah. I took a look comparing Big 12, and I just didn't make the spreadsheet like the other one.
Yeah. It's a wonky weight. 165, Barraclaw, Peyton Hall. Barraclaw beat him earlier this year. He beat also number 3, Cam Amin, and then it's Drake Rose, Cam Steed, Nico Ruiz.
Who do you think wins this weight?
I'll take Barraclaw.
Same.
I'll take Barraclaw. He only has to beat the winner of Peyton Hall and Amin, and he's beaten both, so I'll go with Barraclaw. 174, finally, we get Dean Hamidi, Keegan O'Toole. Dean gets the 1, Keegan the 2, and that, my friends, is the difference between rankings and seeds on full display there. What did I pick? At 74?
You had it switched. You had O'Toole 1 and Dean the 2.
Okay. Yeah, I can get on board with that, though. I mean, it's probably,
They're rewarding Dean for wrestling. That's how it should be. He was 17-0 in the year, and O'Toole was 18-0 in the year. O'Toole was 1-0. Dean was 7-0 against the field. O'Toole was 1-0. I think I saw people that are like, How could you have Dean over Keegan? That's it right there. Like you said, this is not
Yeah.
rankings. This is a seed.
Right. And so, fully on board with that. I don't recall what my thought process was when I put Keegan 1, but I probably had Keegan 1 because I didn't think they would do the right thing. Right? I didn't think the coaches would. I thought the coaches would go straight rankings. Devo's down at the 5. He was Cade Devos was a 2 seed at NCAAs last year. He's the 5 seed the next year at Big 12s.
Crazy.
Unbelievable.
I'm so pumped for this weight.
And what do they get? 174. They get 6. And MJ is seated 7th. They get 6. MJ needs to steal. 184. Keckeisen, Plott, Berge, Bachman, DJ Parker, Eddie, Nietenbach, Texas. Pretty straightforward there, although Colton Hawks is ranked currently 10th in the country and is the 8 seed.
I'll tell you what.
And needs to steal. He doesn't have a bid.
Big 10, super exciting at 184. We're going to talk about that shortly. Big 12, exciting at 184. You got 4 of these guys that are ranked in the top 10. And although it's very likely Parker next topic, still a very solid weight to watch.
Yeah. Man, Colton Hawks needs to steal a bid. He's ranked
crazy.
10th in the country. Mm-hmm. He's ranked 10th in the country. He needs to steal a bid, and he gets Keckeisen. There is no room for error on the backside for him.
No.
197 Serber, Novak, who's quietly had a really great year, including a win over Wyatt Volker, who's a 3. Zach Glazier was the Big 10 runner-up last year. Only had 3 losses. He is now the 4 seed at 197.
You almost had this weight perfect, but the 7 and the 8 are flopped.
7 and the 8 are flopped?
Yep.
285, Wyatt Hendrickson, the 1, Colton Schultz, the 2, Lance Runyon, who wrestled 165 pounds at one point, is the 3. Seth Nitzel is the 4. I believe I had Jarrett Stoner as the entry previously. One more of the 5, Daniel Herrera, the 6.
Hey, here's a fun question for you.
Yeah.
Well, what were you going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to say that they get 4. Big 12 gets 4. So Nitzel did not get 1. Rasmussen did not get 1. Herrera did not get 1.
With the exception of Keegan being a 2 seed, this tournament has, in my opinion, very, very clear favorites at each weight. I think the 1 seed is a heavy favorite. If you had to pick a weight, because I mean that's why I'm sure some people are going to say, why aren't you doing picks? Honestly, I think the 1 seed, I think Figs is a big favorite, Frost is a big favorite, Alira is a big favorite. All the 1 seeds, I think, with the exception of 57, I could see maybe Downey Chittum. Chittum beats Downey, then he loses.
It becomes a race for depth when you're making picks. If they're 3 deep, if they're 3 really good guys deep, the 1 has a monster advantage, right? Mm-hmm. And the Big 12 is such that some of them don't go to 4 deep. Now, Figueroa has a test in Spratley. Alirez has a test in Jameson. But you're right. There's not too many where the 4 is a major, major factor. And because of that, you're going to lean toward the 1 seeds because they have to go through. They basically have to win in the finals.
Yeah. Who, if you had to pick an underdog upset to look for at the Big 12s, who do you think?
Well, I think Spratley's interesting. It's tough to pick him against a returning national champ. And the same thing for The same thing for Jameson. Those are two non-AAs that will have to go through a national champion. But as far as upsets or surprise champs, I don't know. 157 I think is a wash. I'm not a wash.
A coin toss.
I don't think Ryder Downey winning would be a surprise.
No, I agree.
And so he's a 3 seed. And nobody's going to unseat there. I mean, would it be crazy? We know Volker and Serber have had some crazy matches. Would it be crazy if Novak or Volker beat Serber? I don't think so. I mean, you pick Serber, but wouldn't be crazy.
Also, 57 is one of those weird weights where you have Chittum the 1, Fish the 2, Downey the 3 for seeds. From a ranking standpoint, you have Downey the 6, Chittum the 12, Caleb the 14. Answer and tell me he's live on the air. For the podcast listeners, Tony Ramos is calling in.
T-Ram. What do you mean? What are we? We're live on the air right now. We're not live, but we're recording, and you're on. What do you give me some juicy tidbits, bud? All right, we'll get that sorted out. Stat. I'll call you back as soon as the show is over. How's our mutual friend Vincenzo Joseph?
Big J journalism happening right here.
Big J journalism live on Bashing the Brain. All right, and you call me if you land Ghadial. Talk to you later. All right, buddy. Later.
Live, there you go. That's how it happens.
He was calling to ask about where he should start getting a camp set up in Pennsylvania. So we will help him out after that. Okay, that is the big.
Did you
12.
catch that note I was saying?
What? No, I didn't.
So it is one interesting thing about seeds and ranks. A lot of times they're very close. This is one of those weird cases where 157, you have Chittum the 1, Fish the 2, Ryder the 3. Now let me tell you their rankings.
Yeah.
Downey the 6.
Yeah.
You have Chittum the 12 and Fish the 14. Just a very odd 1, 2, 3.
Right? That's why I said it's wonky.
And then it's kind of backwards where you have Downey the 3 is actually ranked 6th in the country, but Chittum has that one head-to-head OT win against him.
Yeah, right. He beat him, but he also lost to James Conway, who's not ranked.
Right. So it's like an interesting one.
Conway, by the way, I mean, he was really good in high school. He's either a freshman. I think he's a freshman. I don't think he's a true freshman. But anyway, he's good. Obviously, beat Chittum. ACC, let's hit on some ACC stuff real quick. It is at Duke. Now with 7 teams, including Stanford. Van Treska's the 1. V-Rob the 2. Spencer Moore, who's quietly had a really good season, is the 3. Ethan Oakley. And how about I was saying this? Man, let's talk about App State. You understand what App State could be a top 15 team? How about I said on a video call, I said App State could be a top 15 team this year, and Adam Fellers went, "Oh, get the hell out of here!" Blah, 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 blah. Listen, Caleb Smith is the 2 seed in the Big Tens. Ethan Oakley is the 1 seed in the ACCs. Will Miller is ranked 7th in the country at 174. Tommy Askey. They're all App State guys. They've been phenomenal.
Yes, but Adam's point was you can't diminish the development that these guys have had. You can't diminish that Askey has grown and gotten better at Minnesota. I get what you're saying.
He's been there for 10 minutes.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying.
He's been there for 10 minutes. Caleb Smith, I get it. I get it. But
I get what he's saying, but like Askey was at App State for 4 years. 3 years? No,
Yeah.
4 years. Yeah. He did not All-American once. Now he's looking like a sure thing to All-American. So it looks to me like he made a jump at Minnesota.
I mean, a jump? Where is he?
If you go from not even qualifying to blood round to if you now...
He's blood round and he's ranked 8th now. What jumps are we talking about?
He only has 3 losses this year. I think he's made jumps. You can disagree with that, but I get what Fellers is saying. These guys, like, it's not... I get what both of you are saying. App State had a lot of talent.
I mean, I certainly understand the point, and I'm not saying that Nebraska did not help improve Caleb Smith, who's been there 2 years. However, you're naming these monumental jumps. Naturally, kids improve from the time they're a sophomore to the time they're a senior. You can't, right? You're correct in saying that. I can't assume that they would have progressed at the same rate, but you guys can't assume that they wouldn't have progressed at all.
I think Dean Hamady is a perfect example of that.
No.
What do you mean? Sixth round of 12, and now he looks incredible, undefeated on the year.
But he's always looked at, number one. And number two, a lot of it is he's not cutting weight.
I think eyeball test, I think he looks better this year than he has.
No doubt. A change of scenery, practice partners, yada, 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 helps. But so did the weight.
Oh, I agree with that. I think the fact that Dean was at... This is conjecture. I think as soon as Dean did an All-American last year, he said he was done with 65. That's just my thought.
He was done with 65. He was done with 65 in the beginning of last season. He was done with 65. I mean, this is a guy that was a whisker. He had Mesenbrink dead to rights. He had Mesenbrink, the unbeatable, dead to rights in Big Ten finals last year, and now you're saying he made massive leaps in 6 months?
I didn't say massive leaps. I said he looks better. He went from sixth, blood round, and now he's undefeated. I think he looks better.
Every time he was sixth, he was like projected 3. Let's not pretend that he wasn't amazing before.
No, he's very good.
App State for president. Well, I think we should name it the Gulf of App State. 133, Ethan Oakley, Connor McGonigal, Tyler Knox, Kai Oreen, the 4 seed, who did not earn a bid somehow and needs to steal. A very interesting situation. 141, Latona Cedeno, Miranda Homan. Not a great deep weight here. Yeah, not very deep. Next topic. 149, Henson. Now, this one is pretty good. Henson, McNeil, Abbas, 1, 2, 3. And Biskins, it's pronounced Biskins, is the 4. Joffrey and Solomon are both top 33 guys that did not earn a bid. So we're going to be still watching that one too. 157, Hippolito, Ed Scott, Dylan Evans, Sonny Santiago, Chalakian. Pretty straightforward there. Hippolito with a narrow win, a really good win over Scott in the duel. 165, Hunter Garvin, the 1. This one is not deep at all. Garvin, Hamilton, Fields, Kessler, Church. 74, Ogunsanya, the 1 over Lorenzo Norman. He did beat him in the duel, but I don't know. Lorenzo seems to me to have a much better season. What are they ranked? Yeah. Lorenzo Norman's ranked 5th. Ogunsanya is 18. There's a 13 gap difference, and yet Ogunsanya, because of that head-to-head, is the 1 seed. Singleton, the 4. Wallach, the 5. and they only get 4. So returning All-American Lenny Wolak on the bubble. 184 Heller, Fishback, Kane, Stewart, again, another Virginia Tech guy, no bid on the bubble.
The returning ACC champ on the bubble.
Returning All-American. On the bubble. No bid. They only get 3, and he's the 4 seed. 197 Max Stout. I'm the biggest Max Stout fan currently in America. Nick Stemmet, 2. Andy Smith, 3. Andy Smith's the 3? Did Stemmet beat him in a duel or something? That's interesting. Heavyweight Trumbull, Mullen, Neves. That's real wacky because Neves has big wins and bad losses. But he did, in fact, they rewarded the wins.
Stemmet did beat Smith 4-2 in the duel last month.
There you go. I didn't remember that. All right. Is there anything? That's the ACC. Is there anything Ivy? I mean, Ivy and EIWAs.
I don't think so.
There's nothing really to discuss. Seeds are pretty much straightforward. There's very few qualification situations that are wacky. And so, yeah, there's not much to discuss there. 133 at EIWAs is kind of interesting with only getting 1 seed, but that's getting real nerdy and real nitty gritty. So let's talk Big Ten. We'll finish the show with the Big Ten. Big Ten Preseeds, 125. Matt Ramos is the 1. Caleb Smith, the 2. Dean Peterson, the 3. Lillidahl, the 4. Joey Cruz, the 5. And I predicted that right. I predicted Cruz, the 5. Huh.
You had Cruz, the 5, but you had Smith Peterson flopped.
I had Smith Peterson flopped. Yeah, I get that. I knew that. No, I knew that they could go that way. I didn't think they should. I knew they could. I didn't think they should. I think Dean probably deserves it too. He has a head-to-head over Lillidahl, and so now you have a situation where Caleb Smith is the 2, and he lost to Lillidahl. I don't know. I did think that Smith deserved a seat ahead of Lillidahl, but it makes it tough for Luke, although he did tech the 5, Joey Cruz. So the 4 gets a 13. He'll get Riley from Illinois, and then he'll get Cruz, who he teched. So,
what a fun semi, Ramos Lillidahl.
Yeah, and again, this is a big change up from talking about the other conferences. And the other conferences, you look at it really a lot through the lens of who's going to qualify and who's not. This guy, he has to win here. He has to avoid an upset here, or he has to steal. Big Ten, a little different. We're talking about strictly wrestling and placement and how it portends to the NCAA seeds and ability to hit the podium or win the title. These guys are all going to qualify, right? Because they get so many.
I'd say that one of the big things here too, though, while qualifications doesn't really come into play, what happens here is going to impact your seed at NCAA.
Right.
So while it's not so much qualification, it's more so a lot on the line for NCAAs.
Absolutely. So it says here I had Rivera and Flynn wrong. How wrong? Did I have them flipped?
Yeah, you just had those flop too. You had Flynn the 8, Rivera the 9.
See, and I got scolded for having Flynn so low, and I was only 1 off. Who's your pick? Who's your pick at 25?
Man, it's tough. I think you gotta go Ramos. The guy's undefeated, and these other guys have taken losses throughout the year. I think Lillidahl, I'm rooting for the kid, but when he's had a couple of losses, he does. I don't think you can pick him to win this. I think you got to kind of go Ramos.
Who is the tougher match? Who is the bigger match for Ramos in this tournament? Luke Lillidahl or the winner of Smith Peterson?
It's a good question. So Dean Peterson very tough, but Rutgers sometimes struggles in the postseason. So I don't know.
No, Shaver didn't last year.
No, Shaver had a great. He won Big Tens at 133
Amazing.
last year.
Amazing. I'll go Ramos over. I'll go Ramos over Dean Peterson.
Did Caleb Smith and Dean Peterson wrestle this year?
No.
They didn't, right?
Mm-mm. Smith had a really good season. What I think what people's opinion of Smith, I think, is a little lower than it should be. I think people hold the weight of he didn't have a great Vegas, but then he wrestled a very tough schedule thereafter and did well. His only loss after Vegas was Luke.
No, and Trevor Anderson.
Oh, he lost. Yes, he lost to Anderson in the duel.
Yeah, give me.
Yep.
I think Peterson comes out of that bottom side. I think regardless, I think the winner of that top side wins the weight. I think Ramos.
Although I picked Dean, but Caleb has wrestled well with a longer break. He might get a longer break. Although it's day 2, there's pros and cons to his weight.
I'll go Dean Peterson over Smith, but I think the winner of the top wins it. So I think Ramos is the favorite to win. If Lillidahl upsets Ramos, I think Lillidahl also wins in the finals.
Make your pick. Stop hedging.
I just did. Ramos over Dean, with the exception of if there's
we know that part.
If the change in the bottom side happens, I don't think it impacts the outcome. I think regardless of who wins the top, I think that's the winner. But I do think
133. Drake, Ayala, Lucas, Bird. Drake beat him in the duel. Braxton Brown, the 3. Davis, the 4. Shaver, the 5. Van D, the 6. I messed up that grouping. What did I have? Did I have Van D, the 4?
You had Shaver.
Why is Davis?
You had Shaver, Vandy, Davis.
That's stupid. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad seeding. Braden Davis, the 4. That's terrible. He lost to Van D by major.
Listen, Braden's not getting any favors here by being the 4.
He wrestled like 5 matches. Davis lost to Van D. And Buzak. No, he beat Buzakis. I don't understand that. I have to review that. I think that's bad.
Davis lost to Vandy.
You are. Yeah.
Davis lost to Vandy, Bird, and Crookham.
Vandy, Bird, Crookham did not wrestle Braxton Brown. I don't know how I feel about it. Although Vandy did lose to Fugit.
But I do think both Drake and Braden have a very, very tough tournament. I know it's the Big Tens. Shane Sparks, if he's listening, is going to say it's the Big Tens. Everybody's got a tough tournament. But if you look at that, I mean, you're going to have a potential Big Ten championship finals rematch in the quarters with Braden Davis and Shaver. And then the winner gets Drake Ayala. So even
Drake was 3rd at Big Tens last year, I think.
No, I'm saying Davis and Shaver were Big Ten champs.
Oh, yeah.
At 25 and 33. So that's
how about it? Big Ten champ versus Big Ten champ.
Sorry, yeah. Not Big Ten final rematch. Sorry. Big Ten champions facing off in the quarters.
Yeah, Big Ten champ versus Big Ten champ to wrestle a returning national runner-up and currently the number 1 guy in the country. That's insane.
Crazy. That top half is nuts. And Drake will have a tough match in the quarters as well with Bugzakis and Rini.
That's
him getting the winner of those 2.
Yeah, he should get by that. Although,
no, I think he will. But we talked in the past.
Rini's tough, and Buzakis
is a landmine.
Buzakis, I think, can beat anybody in one match.
Correct, 100%.
So, and then the other side would be Bird and Fugit, Brown and Van D. That's a really tasty matchup. And the winner probably getting Bird. I'm going chalk here, man.
Yeah,
I'm
I
going
think
Ayala over Bird. I think they're just both of them are just so established.
I agree.
Where the other guys have picked each other off. Ayala Bird been the most consistent. Ayala only lost on the year to Tyler Knox. Bird only lost on the year to Drake.
Yeah.
So I'm going Drake Bird. You too?
Yeah.
We had the same picks. First two weights. 141, Bartledew. Then Mendez, Brock Hardy the 3. Von Bauer the 4. Lemley the 5. Olivieri the 6. And that was the only one I got wrong in my projected seats. I had Olivieri and Lemley flopped. I get it. Lemley's ranked one spot higher. Lemley has a bigger name. If you look at the resumes this year, they're very similar. Although Olivieri has a little higher win percentage, and I think a pretty higher win percentage within the Big Ten. Although, again, back to those large conference, unbalanced schedules, Lemley has a lot of losses, but they're all to studs. He wrestled everybody. He wrestled all the top guys. Olivieri has a better record, but didn't hit these guys. Didn't hit the top guys.
Yeah.
The 7, Porter and Clark, both who need bids and are ranked in the top 33. They are the 8 and 9. Chris Cannon is the 10. Shriever, the 11. Dario Lemus, who I loved coming out of high school from Clovis, is the 12. He's not a factor now, but in the future, I think he could be good. So Bartlett will have the winner of Von Bauer and Lemley. I think Von Bauer is super scary, but I go Bartlett.
Yeah, I mean, Von Bauer, who's not only looked great all year, him and Bartlett did not wrestle. So Bartlett's seen a lot of these guys. He beat Puccino, he beat Mendez, he beat Lemley, he beat Olivieri, he beat Brock Hardy. Like, he's wrestled a lot of these guys and won this year. Vance is the one guy he hasn't. I still think Bartlett gets it done, and I've been pretty consistent with this weight where I think the guy who wins the last match is the guy I'm going to pick, especially with the Bartlett-Mendez series. So I think Mendez gets it done over Hardy, and I think Bartlett gets it done over Mendez again in the finals. Now, Mendez can win this, and I would not be surprised at all. But from a pick standpoint, I'm just going to continue to pick the guy who won the last time.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to take anybody but Bartlett Mendez. I'm really close to taking Hardy, though.
There's Husker Willie, baby.
No, I just think. I mean, there's two sides of the coin. There's the side that he's been so close that he has to get one once, So at some point he has to get one, right?
Well, they only wrestled twice. No, they wrestled 7 times. I mean, Mendez majored Brock last year at the Cliff Keen 11-3, and then he beat him 6-2 at NCAAs. So I don't know that it's like, I get what you're saying when you start wrestling 3-4 times in a row, but
I actually wasn't thinking about Mendez. I'm talking about Bo.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were picking.
Yeah, okay. No, I didn't make it clear. My brain's going back to the duel against Bo.
Well, you got to get to the finals first.
He was so dang close. Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, I mean, Mendez has to beat Hardy. Mendez will go Puccino, then Hardy. Bartlett will go Porter or Clark, and then Von Bauer Lemley. Man, it's not really interesting, is it? I go Bo over But I mean, not that it's not interesting. My picks are going to not be
Yeah,
interesting.
there's a lot of these weights that when I was going through it earlier making my picks, it's like a lot of picking is going to be chalk. What's going to be exciting is where that doesn't happen. Where that's where it's
100%,
going
they're
to get
not going to be
fun.
right. I mean, these guys are too good to not there not be some upsets along the line. Um, I kind of want to take Brock, but I'll take Bartlett over Mendez.
By the way, Penn State fun facts, since now we're starting to get into some Penn State stuff. Penn State has 5 guys going for multiple Big Ten titles.
That's
Kind of crazy. Davis is going for his second. Haynes is going for his third. Messenbrink's going for his second. Starachi's going for his third. Kirk's going for his second.
And 3 of those return.
Mm-hmm. Kind of crazy.
What did Kasich do last year?
Kasich, feel like what did he lose to?
Ridge won it, right? Ridge won it. Ridge was the 1 seed.
He lost to Ridge 4-0.
Yeah. Also, you think about Levi's going for his what?
Levi's going for his third straight.
Dude, that freshman year 1, I still contend that was a bad call, but still, just to even be in that situation, to beat Peyton Robb as a freshman in that spot when the year that Robb was having, I mean, remember what Robb did at Cliff Keen? I mean, that took huge stones out of Levi.
Big stones.
All right, we're both going Bartlett Mendez at 41. We got the same finals pick every time. 149, Van Ness, Parko, Lovett, D'Amelio the 4, Webster the 5, Clark the 6, Cartel. Oh, look at the brain nailed this.
The brain nailed this, all right.
Completely perfect. So, Parko will get Sam Cartella, good young freshman from Northwestern. In his quarter, Ridge Lovett will get in the quarters Andrew Clark from Rutgers. Shane Van Ness will see the winner of D'Amelio or Webster.
And Van Ness just beat both of them. So this was a great, good. Shane being the 1 seed is good for him. You figure the 4-5, those are 2 of his last 3 wins. So you got to feel confident that he'll beat them both again. D'Amelio was only a 4-2 win. Cannon Webster was a 15-4 win. But then on the bottom side there, I mean, you figure.
Why don't you show these on the air? Why don't you put the seeds up so they don't have to look at my ugly face?
All right, I'll put it up.
Because it's easier if they visualize it. You know who I want to take? I want to take Ridge.
Love it.
I want to take Ridge all the way, but he just cannot get past Parko. He just cannot get past Parko. It's really weird with this 3-headed monster. I mean, I take Ridge every time against Van Ness. I take Van Ness every time against Parko. But I mean, the data says that Parko's going to beat Ridge. I'm going Ridge. Give me Ridge. Go! This is a go Bills moment. Give me Ridge over Van Ness in the finals.
Oh, you're
Bills.
Parko is what, 3-0 now against Lovett?
Yeah.
And so you're going Lovett over Parko in the semis, and then you're going Lovett. Now Lovett over Van Ness isn't crazy. He beat him pretty soundly. So it's all right. I'm going Van Ness.
It's probably a smart play. It's amazing. It's amazing how good these guys are, and there's so much clear, like, one A beats B, B beats C, C beats A.
I think this is one of those weights where I do think all 3 of these top 3 guys, Like, I do think Van Ness, Park will love it. You can, in theory, make a case for all three of them to win. Especially, again, you have Van Ness who just beat Parko, Lovett who just beat Van Ness. Van Ness, like, I get the case. I'm going Van Ness, but
yeah, it's a smart pick. I mean, it's a smart pick. Okay, let's go to 157. Oh, somebody picked this completely right as well. Ethan Miller, the 1, Tyler Kasich, the 2, Antrell Taylor, the 3, Ja'Cory Teamer, the 4, Askey, the 5, Blaze, the 6, deep weight. Deep.
mm-hmm.
Deep. Joey Blaze is ranked 7th in the country as a 6th seed. Trevor Chumbley, Chase Saldate is the 8th. Chase Saldate, the 8. I mean, this is a guy that damn near beat Levi last year. Cannon, kind of a curveball at the 9. I guess it says they're tied for 8, but it's insignificant. Hare, the 10. So Kasich's path, he'll go Chumley in the quarters. Antrell's path, he'll go Blaze in the quarters, who we just beat. But that was a 1 takedown match. That's a really tough. I mean, that's a horrible path for a 3 seed. You got to go Joey Blaze, then Kasich. That's a tough draw. Teamer and Askey in a quarter. Winner gets Ethan Miller. And, for a guy in Teamer that's a, I don't know, 3 or 4-time All-American and returning NCAA finalist, and you miss a gang of the season. And, oh, man, it's a 4 seed. The way it worked out, good for him. Right? I mean, you'd rather see Miller than the guy you lost to this year.
Yeah. And he's got a win over Askey. He just beat Askey. So, yeah, it's...
I think that Taylor... Nebraska's whole... Oh, my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nebraska has 6 straight 3 seeds.
I know.
Their whole team's 3 seeds.
And you thought there was gonna be 7 because you thought Caleb was gonna get the 3 seed. So you thought they were gonna have 7 at the 3.
Yeah. So give me Kasich over Taylor. I think that's pretty safe play. And I'll take Teamer and I'll take Kasich. Give me Kasich over Teamer in the finals.
Yeah, I can already feel the Penn State homer, Penn State this, that. I got news for you guys that are going to cry about that. Penn State has 8 in the top 2 here. So even from 41, it's the 1 seed, the 1 seed, the 2 seed, the 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed, 2 seed, 2 seed. Like, Penn State's just very good.
I don't think there's any Penn State homerism in picking Kasich.
I think Kasich wins here. I think it's I do.
I mean, he beat the returning national finalist this year.
He beat Teamer. I think honestly, if he gets Miller, I think he's going to want vengeance.
And he beat Teamer, and I don't recall the Antrell match wasn't particularly close, was it? I mean, that Kasich beat him pretty good. So
9-3.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's Kasich. I think it's Kasich here.
He's the 1 seed, but to me, Miller's a real wild card, man. He's a real wild card. I mean, would your head explode? Would your head explode if he beat Ja'Cory? I mean,
no, because
I'm not picking it, but my head would explode.
My head would explode more if it happened in a dual meet. One of my big question marks for Teamer this weekend is the last couple of matches. It's been, where's his gas tank? Where's his conditioning? He hasn't really been on the mat until he got back. He's going to have to go back-to-back this weekend. So if Miller gets the win, I think one of the reasons will be that his gas tank was in better shape than Ja'Cory, and he got the win. I don't think...
That will be a semi, so that will be... Semis are day 2, right?
No, they're Saturday night, so it'll be his third match.
Oh, God, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
So that's gonna. I don't think the first match is gonna be very tough for him, but then he's gonna have, a couple hours later he'll have ASCII.
Well, yeah, I think
Saturday night. So no, if Miller beats him, I might honestly even pick Miller over Teamer, and that might be one reason why is we don't know his conditioning level, and I just think the third match of his day. Now listen, he could blow out his lungs, feel great, get some explosive doubles that we've seen, and win, and I'm not at all surprised. But
that's a really good point that it's the night session and not the next morning, and that goes back to there's a couple spots in here that could be interesting, like Caleb Smith, Dean Peterson, where we've seen Caleb Smith is better. The more removed from weigh-ins he's been a little better.
Yep.
And in a match that figures to be a one takedown match, could be the difference. So I'm going Kasich over Teamer.
So you think Teamer does it? You think he looks good, gets 3 W's, beats Miller at night? I'm going Miller. I think Miller gets it done there. And then I think Kasich beats Miller in a vengeance match.
Interesting. I know what Miller has done this year, but I don't know where he stands in the pecking order with the elite.
I don't think it's not like my confidence in Kasich to win is very high. My confidence in who wins from Miller to Teamer is like 52-48 Miller. It's not like I'm just giving the conditioning in the gas tank in the Teamer's had 7 matches all year. So
I know. All right, you're going Miller. Mark it down.
Well, Miller to beat Teamer, and then Kasich beats Miller in the finals. Right.
165, kind of a next topic kind of thing. I mean, the questions are not at the top. Mesenbrink the 1, Caliendo the 2, Christian Minto the 3, Bo Mantanona the 4, Andrew Sparks the 5, Braden Scholes the 6. Are you showing these on screen? Tyler Lillard, Max Mayfield tied at 7, which is they need to figure that out. That's important. Patty Gallagher the 9. This is the third straight weight I nailed. I put Patty Gallagher the 9. Everybody said I was a nutbag, and guess what? Boom. 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 He's 1-1 at the weight. He should be the 9. Boom. Nailed it. How are you going to put Patty Gallagher? He's ranked top 10. He can't be the 9. So he's a 9. The 9. All right. So let's start down here. Minto's path will be Nivison. Not that it doesn't matter, but when you're talking finer points of team scoring, and this is what we didn't talk about this at Big 12s, because Oklahoma State has 2 really great guys as the 4. Spratley and Jamison are really great, but they're the 4 seed, and they have to go against 2 returning national titleists or 2 former national titleists. Does that hurt it doesn't help their team score. Can anybody run a simulation on projected points based on seeds for the Big 12? That could be a dogfight. And those 2 did not help Oklahoma State. And what I'm getting at here is Nebraska, with all those 3s, we talked about 6 3s, they're helped here. You know why? Because they get 14s.
Good point.
They get 14s. Brock Hardy gets Jaden Crumpler. Ridge Lovett gets Royce Nilo. Antrell Taylor gets Stauffenberg. Minto gets Jay Nivison. Pinto gets Aiden Vandenbush. Silent Allred gets Dylan Russo. These are all bonus point opportunities. Mm-hmm. So Minto has Jay Nivison, and then the 6, which would be Scholes. Can he get through Skulls? That'll be a big one for Nebraska. He's beaten Mantanona. He's beaten Sparks. He's beaten Lillard. Curveball here. See, Patty's in a bad spot. Like if Patty was like a 7, well, I don't know. He's not beating Caliendo anyway. If Patty was a 6, then you could say, oh, Minto, Patty's a big one. But down at the 9, he's going to get Mesenbrink and then be on the backside. Mantanona Sparks, a 4-5. We'll get Mesenbrink. Caliendo will have Lillard or Mayfield and then Minto. And so let's not belabor the point. This is Mesenbrink over Caliendo. And if Minto can run that back and take third, he's going to see a high seed. And who on planet Earth saw Christian Minto, number 93 on the big board, freshman, taking third in the Big Ten, being a top 10 guy? That's crazy. I mean, if you said what freshman this year is going to have a great year, who's the best freshman at 65? You would have said Mantanona, right?
Very likely.
Mantanona had that kind of pedigree, top 10, big board. Not Minto at a 93. And I think it's safe to say you're taking Mesenbrink over Caliendo as well.
Yeah, pick there.
174, another Penn State top seed, Levi Haynes, Carson Clarkshall the 2, Pinto the 3, Kennedy the 4. And as the week went on, there was rumors that Kennedy and Nelson were going to have a wrestle off. The place is a vault. Tom's not going to come out and tell you the details. I guess the place isn't a vault.
Tom wouldn't even tell you yesterday. They asked him yesterday. They said, you got your lineup finalized? He said, well, you'll figure it out when the seeds come out.
No way.
Fun fact, Tom Brands yesterday was quoted saying, and he walked it back, but he said, one of the guys in his media availability asked him, how important are seeds? And he basically said they're not, just do a blind draw. And then he said that's why they used to do it. And then he kind of walked it back, but the fans don't like it. That's why International went from blind draw to, separation to this. And yeah, I guess seeding does matter. But it was funny because he did come out and say, just blind draw. Let's go.
He's awesome. He is a media sensation. Did you watch? And man, I never thought of Tom this way until a couple of weeks ago. And Tom frustrates the hell out of me. I love him, but he frustrates the hell out of me, and he also thinks I'm out to get him and yada, yada, yada. But he always gives you stuff to talk about, right? And so for the longest time, I was so frustrated with him because he gets mad at me for talking about them despite them always having something to talk about. And I was like, what doesn't he get? And then Chael Sonnen did a piece at Iowa. And in one of the videos, and Tom Brand says about he says, if you look at all the greats, they were all performers, they were all pros, they were all superstars. They talked well, they did stuff well. Look at Dave Schultz. Look at this guy. And he went down the list, and it's like they could all talk well. They all were interesting and kept you on your toes. And I'm like, Tom, this is what he's been doing. He does it on purpose. But then he yells at me when I talk about him. But yeah, there was rumors that Kennedy and Nelson were going to wrestle off. as the week went on, and again, these are rumors. I don't know for sure, but it sounds like that wrestle off didn't happen. Is not going to happen. It sounds like Nelson is just not 100%, or whatever the case may be. It sounds like PK is the guy. So PK at the.
I didn't throw the seats up. I just threw them up.
PK is the 4. Clayton Whiting the 5. Now this tier is really wacky. Jackson Turley the 6, Danny Bronigal the 7, Brody Ballman the 8, Lucas Condon the 9. They could have really went either way with that grouping. Derek Gilcher the 10, where it used to be Rogotsky. Late flip to Gilcher. So it will go Karchla the 2 versus the 7, Danny Bronigal. I think that's the clear pick is Karchla. Pinto, Jackson Turley. That's an interesting matchup. I mean, Pinto's had a much better season. But Turley could certainly pull an upset there. Kennedy the 4, Whiting. Kennedy not in a horrible spot. I mean, Kennedy should beat Whiting. And then you clearly pick Haynes in that semi, but Kennedy's sort of in a good spot too with the 4 seed. So I think Pinto has a real test in the quarters with Turley, and then I think Pinto can beat Karchla, but I'm not picking it. I'll take Karchla, and I'll take Levi. I'll take Levi over Karchla.
Yeah, I mean, Karchla's only loss this year was to Levi. I think this is one of those
late.
Yeah, it was a close 6-4 match. You know, what was like last 30 seconds or so that Levi went and got that takedown. So I think Levi is the pick here over Karchla. But I think it's going to be a great match. But I think there's – I don't know. I think there's a lot of separation between those two and the rest.
Yeah.
Because Karchla beat Kennedy 7 – Did Karchla – no, he didn't wrestle in Nebraska, did they? Or he didn't wrestle?
I don't recall.
No, I don't think.
I don't recall, but the way I see it is, I think Karchla can beat Haynes, but I wouldn't pick it. And I think Karchla's wrestling the best of his career.
He is.
But the thing is, Levi's down late, and he just went and got it. And when I see somebody needing a score, going to get it late, taking care of business, I ain't picking against that.
Not to mention he's gone to this tournament twice. He's won it both times. We talked about how impressive it was. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you got to go Levi here.
I'm going Levi. I think Pinto's kind of a shaky 3. You know, his the match with Kennedy was wild. So yeah, the backside will be interesting too, and really important for seeding at nationals. Really important. 184, Carter Starachi, Max Mickinelli. A lot of people talking about that. Silas Allred to 3, Gabe Arnold to 4, Jackson Smith to 5. Really great deep weight. Edmund Ruth, who won Big Tens last year, is a 6 seed. Surprise, Shane Cartagena Walsh, the 7, Ryder Rogotsky, the 8, DJ Washington, the 9. Silas, the 3, will have Edmund Ruth, the 6. That's a real good one. Edmund, not quite. It seems like Edmund's not quite what he was at 74. However, a lot of that, too, is that Edmund wrestled a really tough schedule. I'll take Silas over over Ruth. Mickinelli just that match got away from Silas, and I don't think. I mean, that was a beating that Mickinelli put on Silas. However, it really got away from Silas, and like he was taking sloppy shots. I don't think that Mickinelli beats him up as much as he did in the duel, but I also don't think Silas wins. So give me Mickinelli in the finals. Carter will have the winner of Arnold Smith.
That was just a very close match that Gabe won not too
Was
long
that
ago.
was that on a riding time point or? It was super close. Yeah, that was a riding time point, I think.
Yeah, it was
Super
2-1.
close.
It was 2-1.
Yeah, no takedown. So yeah, that's going to be a tight one.
But we're finally gonna. I do think Gabe Arnold beats Jackson Smith again. I do think he has a chip on his shoulder with everything through the year. Angelo Ferrari, like all that. I think Gabe does make to the semis, and I think we're finally, just as everybody drew it up, we're gonna see Carter versus Gabe Arnold Saturday night in prime time.
That's must see. That's must see stuff.
And by the way, I don't think it's gonna be that exciting of a match. I think Gabe Arnold is hard to score on. I don't think he gives up that many points. His losses this year, he had 2 losses. Both were simply giving up the takedown in overtime. And Carter's a guy who we've talked about it all year. He wins a lot, more than maybe anybody else in college wrestling right now, but he also wins a lot of close ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that the match is necessarily close, but the score is close.
What do you make of there's a thread on and if you're listening to this and you're unaware of Intermat's message boards, there's especially at this time of year, everybody that posts there are super diehards, and we talk about wrestling, college, internationals, really busy, and we talk about politics a lot too, but whatever. But this time of year, the college message boards on Intermat are super popping, and it's fun. It's fun discussion. They're all diehards. So if you're not on there, join, jump into discussion. But right now there's a thread discussing Carter and Mickinelli, and some people think that Mickinelli might have a puncher's chance in this one. I will never bet or take anybody against Carter, but certainly not a freshman. I mean, Keck Eisen's a different story, I guess. But Mickinelli, he is much bigger, and he is dang good, and he is a dog, and he is hungry. That being said, I'm taking Carter.
Yeah, I mean, Max looks great this year. I think a couple things. I think when you have a freshman, I think the senior 4-time champ has a leg up on you, especially in the postseason. He's not only been there before, he's done it. He's won 2 Big Ten titles. He's won 4 NCAA titles. I also think that Max, this is one of those weights where he didn't wrestle the 1, the 2, the 3 throughout the year. He beat Berge, and it was a 9-6 OT match. Berge's currently ranked 5th. He didn't wrestle the 6. He didn't wrestle. Maybe he wrestled. Yeah, he wrestled all red. We just talked about it.
He did have a really close match with somebody not great too.
Bennett Berge, he was in overtime. Jaden Bullock was in overtime, 4-1 win. Yeah. So I think Max looks awesome. I think he's one of the best freshmen out there. I said that him and Josh Barr were, for me, the 2 most impressive freshmen of the year so far. And I think, Max's case for freshman of the year right now is he's undefeated. Josh's, he has a higher quality win. So extremely impressive. I just don't think that, I don't see him dethroning Carter. I don't.
That's a good topic. That's an article I'll come out with after NCAAs, like best performing freshman of the year. You got Max, you got Barr, you got Lildahl.
Yeah, Lilidol's had. It definitely matters what happens in the postseason. If Lilidol goes on a run, he's definitely up there. Barr, if Barr finishes top 4 at NCAA's, he's right there. Max, what does Max do? I think all three of them incredible freshman runs.
Yeah, yeah. Also, like, I don't know. Gabe Arnold's probably top 10, right? I mean, well, we kind of don't. We've talked about Gabe Arnold so much that in his redshirt campaign that he kind of doesn't seem like a freshman anymore, but he is. And I mean, he's definitely a top 10 freshman.
He's definitely a top 10 freshman, but he doesn't have any top 10 wins. He lost to Max in overtime. He lost to Allred in overtime. Him and Angelo didn't end up wrestling in Soldier Salute. I'm looking at WrestleStats top.
No, but I mean,
Ryder Rogotsky was his. No, sorry, Jackson Smith was his best win this year.
Yeah, but I mean, for a freshman, it's a damn good.
100%. And again, I also think what happens in the postseason matters.
Okay. We are up to 97. Stephen Buchanan is your 1. Josh Barr the 2. Cardenas the 3. Salazar the 4. Brunigal the 5. McDaniel got the 6, huh? Over Evan Bates the 7. Solers the 8. Shoemate the 9. Okay. What did I have?
You had Bates 6. You had Bates 6 and McDaniel 7th. And then Shoemate and PJ are wrong because you had Paz in the 9 slot. So Paz not going.
Yeah. I didn't update them after they said Paz is done.
Yeah.
So the matchups will be Josh Barr will have the 7, Evan Bates. Cardenas, the 3, will have the 6, Cam McDaniel. And then it will be Isaiah Salazar and Zach Bronigal in a quarter, and Stephen Buchanan against the winner of Solers and Shoemate. Seems all pretty straightforward there. I guess some people might take Bronigal, but I'll take Salazar. But man, I don't know. To me, I'm taking Buchanan all the way. I think he looked phenomenal this year. Again, those older seniors, you never know which way they're going to go. Stephen Buchanan best in his career for last, and it's really great to see. I'm going Buchanan. The question is, Barr or Cardenas?
Yeah, this is one of those weights where obviously Barr's my guy. I'm rooting for him to go out and win this thing and make no bones about it. But when you have those top 3 and you've got Buchanan beat Barr, Barr beat Cardenas, I think the same thing is going to happen here. I think Barr beats Cardenas again, or I'll pick Barr to beat Cardenas again. I think he wins. And then you got to pick Buchanan over Barr. I'm trying to look. What did Cardenas and Allred or
Salazar?
So that was 8-3. So it's like these guys have all beaten each other. So it's like
it's pretty dang clear, with the exception, in my opinion, that Barr and Cardenas is pretty much a toss-up.
Correct.
I mean, look, 100% credit the chops of Josh Barr for that win over Cardenas. 100%. Not taking it away from him. But Cardenas didn't have a mental error in that, right, where he gave up the reversal.
Yeah, so
it's within the margins. Like I don't think Salazar can beat Cardenas, but I do think Cardenas could beat Barr.
Yeah, 100%. Cardenas has looked absolutely incredible this year. He looks really good.
So you're gonna go Buchanan over Barr?
Yeah, I mean, based on how it just went, but I think Barr can beat Buchanan. I think with how dominant he's looked this year, I don't think it's out of reach. Buchanan's the pick because he just beat him, but
I think Buchanan's an easy pick, but
it's also a one takedown match. It's 4-1.
Yeah. Let's see.
Buchanan's the pick, but I
Barr certainly has kept raising his bar, right? Like every step of the way, we followed Josh Barr this year, and he's like, can he? Yes. Will he? TBD. And he keeps doing it. So, is it within the margins? Yes. Well, I'll still pick Buchanan for now.
That's gonna be one of those. Even though it's chalked, it is gonna be a very fun weight to watch. One of my favorite weights to watch this weekend.
285. Gable Stevenson's your 1 seed. Kirk Fleet's the 2. There was a little bit of. Some people could argue Kirk Fleet the 1, but we're grasping at straws.
I think Kirk should be the 1, but I think it is. I don't think it matters whatsoever. But I think the returning undefeated guy should be the 1.
Me too. Returning undefeated champion, Big Ten champion. You take away the names. Just take away their names.
Correct.
Let's call it wrestler. Let's call it wrestler A and wrestler B. And who's the top seed?
Right. The most recent undefeated returning champ. But again, that said, I don't really think it matters.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't matter, but seed process. We're just talking about seed process. We're nerding out. Josh Heinzelman's your 3, Nick Feldman the 4, Lucas Luffman the 5. It says Luffman and Slavakuski are tied at the 5, which is really interesting and pretty significant. Ben Keeter the 7. How is Ben the 7? What? He lost to Luffman. But beat Feldman. How is Slavakuski ahead of him? Why is Ben the 7? That's bad. That's terrible. Why is Slavakuski ahead of him? Because Slavakuski beat... Dude, I don't understand this at all.
Slavakuski beat Luffman, lost to Feldman.
All 3 resumes are the same. Because Ben beat Feldman and lost to Luffman. So what they did here was all resumes were basically the same, and they just went with seniority. They just went with They went seniority in last year's performance. I mean, they gave Feldman the benefit of the doubt because he's a returning All-American. Actually, yeah, I don't know. Keeter is ranked on Intermat anyway, the last of that group.
Yeah, the site has Intermat has Slavakuski the 7, Feldman 9, Luffman 10, Keeter 11. For those.
Yeah, listening. I mean, again, the resumes are really close this year. I'm just surprised Ben's at the 7, and it is monumental. Well, it's monumental in the sense of the path of the bracket. It's not monumental in the sense of these guys are all going to go to the dance. I mean, you ain't got to worry about that. But I was just hoping for a better seed for Ben. But what we're going to have is now Kirk Fleet gets Ben. Heinzelman will get either Luffman or Slavakuski because they're going to have to figure out that they're going to have to break that tie. And then Feldman will get Slavakuski or Luffman. But it kind of stinks for Ben that he got the last one because the last one meaning the 7. Because Stevenson and Kirkley are basically unbeatable, but if if you get the 6, then any of those 3, 4, 5, 6, you can go with, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm showing that I'm a little partial to Ben. Uh, yeah, and let's not beat around the bush. It's going to be Stevenson, Kirkfleet, and I think everybody's going to take Gable, including myself. Although I am interested to see how that plays out. It's not to me. It might be next topic in your pick. Like I'm not going to try to reinvent some reason to pick Kirkfleet, but I'm certainly interested to see how that plays out, how that materializes. I mean, frankly, look, there's two things. One, Penn State coached a 0-time starter, 1-time state champ, 0-star guy to beat Gable Stevenson. On the other hand, that was your grandpa's Gable Stevenson. That was freshman version Gable Stevenson. It's not what he is now. So, if somebody can figure out a game plan, it's Kale and company. But I'm still taking Gable.
Yeah, I think you got to pick Gable. Gable's beat him head to head. I think Gable's the pick. I don't think it's as next topic as everybody thinks. I think Kirk is the best wrestler Gable will wrestle in college since 2021.
Yeah.
So, but even the last time they wrestled, it was a 9-4 match.
Well, I mean, Mason was very good. Paris.
He wrestled that weekend. That was the last time he wrestled a guy of this caliber.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, we'll see. It's going to be a great match. I think it's one of the best matches of the weekend. You have 2 returning national champs.
So do you see how about it? Do you see Penn State 1, Iowa 2 next topic?
Hold on, let me.
Nobody can catch Penn State, right? Iowa can't catch Penn State.
No. You figure the guys that. What's the lowest you think Bo Bartlett places? Van Ness, Kasich, Messenbrink, Levi, Carter, Barr, Kirk. I mean, you got.
I know. Penn State might bottom out at like a 4th place or somewhere.
It's crazy. So no, I don't think anybody can catch him.
But I guess Braden Davis could take 5th.
But I do think this. I think this Big Ten will look very different than last year than Iowa, where you had only Zach Glazier as your only finalist. I think Drake.
How about that? Isn't that crazy? Last year, Iowa had 1 finalist, and it was Zach Glazier. That's insane.
Yeah. I think both you got Ayala and Buchanan are both favorites to win it. You got Caliendo and Parco are arguably favorites to make the finals as well. So you're talking 4 finalists right there. I don't know that. I guess. Mm-hmm. I mean, Minnesota could have 2 finalists.
Yeah, it's really crazy that like, Big Ten's is sort of like mini NCAAs, but the dynamics change, and so the better team at nationals sometimes can get surpassed at Big Tens. It's different fields. So,
if
I don't know. I don't know if anybody can catch. I don't think anybody can catch Iowa. Who would be 3rd? Nebraska or Ohio State or something?
Yeah. I mean, Nebraska having 7 guys in the top 3, if they can wrestle to their seeds, especially like you're saying, not only 7 in the top 3, but then if they can get a lot of bonus early.
Yeah. If Nebraska wrestles to seeds, if Nebraska wrestled to seeds and Iowa faltered somewhere, I guess based on seeds, Nebraska could pass them. But that's being perfect. No,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be perfect.
Minnesota, if Von Bauer finds a way to upset Bartlett, you could see
Yeah,
Minnesota with 3 in the finals.
yeah. Minnesota could do some damage. I mean, and especially at a weight that's wonky. I mean, if Cooper Flynn, who's seated ninth, could take fifth, that'd be
Mm-hmm.
significant, right? Uh,
I think
so
Andrew Sparks is going to place top 5.
yeah, could Andrew Sparks pull an upset over Pinto or Mantanona and take third, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be big. So Minnesota, I guess, has a path to
Yeah.
not knocking off Penn State or Iowa, but path to third maybe.
Yep.
So that is the table set for this weekend, ladies and gentlemen.
2 hours, 15 minutes we're at right now.
No way. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. That might be unnecessary. Do you have your
By the
war
way,
room ready? Did you mount your televisions
yeah.
monitors?
Yeah, I'll send you a picture. I thought I posted one. Maybe I didn't.
I've been sitting for a while.
No, it would have been days ago. Let me see if I have one. So I did put 2 43-inch TVs in my office behind my 2 monitors. I thought I had a picture, but yeah, I got the war room ready. So I got 2 TVs and two computer monitors in my office at home, and then I've got a big TV, little TV set up down in the basement where I like to watch, like, let's say 2 finals are going at the same time, and I got Big Ten finals on one TV, and then let's say Big 12 finals or something on the other TV. So I'll bounce back and forth between the 2 war rooms, but we're pretty good. Hey, one note I do have, if you look in the show notes doc,
Yeah.
I've got 2024 results from Big Tens.
Yep.
Look at the fall off. Michigan last year in second with 123 points.
Yeah, 123, and they had a lot of turnover. Not a great season in Michigan this year, but they'll figure it out. A lot of turnover, injury to Ragusan. They're a great program, and they're also really good people. So like they're a really well run ship. So they're a little down this year, but they have a really great foundation and are super young.
Yep.
Their recruiting is great too.
And having Brock and Bo back to back, they're going to be a nice little duo next year.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, that's the show, I think, unless you got anything else.
No.
We're going to plan for a show. We'll try to do a live show. Like, maybe we'll go live Sunday morning.
Let's go live Sunday morning before semis.
Because semis are Saturday night.
Oh yeah, before finals.
But let's take a look, because
Keep forgetting that.
So Big 12 semis. I got to redo Earl's streaming guide. I love it. I love that he does this, but I need to do one for my brain that is just
times.
Yes, everything that's in chronological order.
Yeah.
Based on times that I just want to see what Sunday is, because Sunday ACC start at 10 a.m. with semis at 2. Big 12 starts at 1, but that's just Concy quarters, and then Big 12 finals not till 9. But I don't hate it, since Big 10 finals. No, we should do that earlier. Big 10 finals are at 5:30, and then Ivy League Championships finals 6:30. ACC Championship finals 8 o'clock. Big 12 9 o'clock. So we're gonna have to wait till Monday morning to do a show, because this is gonna go till 11, 12.
Past your bedtime.
Yeah, we're way past our bedtime. Which, by the way, shout out me.
Shout out me.
10:16 right now.
I know. How about it?
10:16. I had a grinder of a day. And you know what? This is This is what we do. This is the postseason. This is March.
Shout out to you.
Shout out me.
All right.
I don't know how to end it. This is our longest show.
Go Bills.
Go
That's how
Bills.
we end it.
Hey, are we going to get Myles Garrett?
The Bills are?
Do you think so?
I want them.
Yeah, I want him too. I'm just curious if we get him. All right, that's a show.
Who did we get? We got Debo.
You got Fat Debo.
We got Fat Debo. I'm glad it's a 1-year deal. He might be a cancer.
Yeah, but I do think that it's like, I do think because he was a little slower last year, the Fat Debo is a little blown out of proportion. I don't think I still think he's a good pickup. To have him and Jaden Daniels, I think you're going to be good. All right, be good, do good. God bless. Go Bills.